My father stopped answering the phone at the assisted living facility, so I hid a voice-activated recorder in his room. What it captured sent 4 people to jail and destroyed my brother's marriage. Every morning at exactly 7:03, my dad called. Not 7:02, not 7:04. For 11 straight years after Mom passed, that call was my alarm clock, my weather report, my daily reminder that someone on this earth loved me without conditions. Then one Tuesday, the call didn't come. "I'm Sarah. I'm a paramedic in Charlotte." My dad, Harold, taught high school chemistry for 39 years. He retired a decade ago, but his body never got the memo. He still woke up at 5:30 every morning, made instant coffee, and waited exactly 93 minutes before dialing my number. Love calls at the same time every day, until it can't. He'd ask if I'd eaten. He'd tell me what birds showed up at his feeder. Then he'd say, "Go patch someone up, kid." That was our ritual. I'm a paramedic. Most days I'm treating overdoses and car wrecks, not saving lives the way he imagined. But I never corrected him. Dad lived 3 hours east, near the coast, in the same ranch house he bought in 1987. 8 months ago, he had a stroke. Minor, but it stole his balance and half the strength in his right leg. He needed daily physical therapy, medication checks, help standing from a chair. I couldn't move him to Charlotte. My apartment is a 5th-floor walk-up, and my shifts are 14 hours. That's when my brother Mark stepped in. Mark's 45, lives 45 minutes from Dad. He's had financial power of attorney since our mom got sick. I agreed because it made sense. Mark stayed. I left for college and never came back. He said he found a facility. Top-rated, he told me. Clean, friendly, great therapy program. I asked for the inspection reports. I asked for the staff-to-resident ratio. Mark laughed. "Sarah, relax. I walk the halls myself. It's fine." Trust me, that word has papered over a lot of cracks in our family. Mark handled Mom's funeral arrangements. Mark managed Dad's finances after the stroke. Mark coordinated the doctor visits. And every time I asked for specifics, I got the same 2 words. So I stopped asking. I was the one who left. I was the one who chose the city, the career, the life 3 hours away. That guilt is like cement. It hardens around your feet before you realize you can't move. Mark moved Dad into Harborview Senior Living on a Thursday. He sent me a photo that night. Dad in a courtyard, sunlight on his face, wearing the flannel shirt I gave him for his birthday. The place looked decent. Green grass, a fountain, a bench with a dedication plaque. I saved the photo. I called Dad that evening. He sounded tired but okay. "Room's small," he said, but the girl who brought my dinner had a nice smile. "Give it time, Dad. I miss my workshop." I promised to visit soon. I meant it. But my schedule had me working 6 14-hour shifts in 8 days, and soon became later, and later became 6 weeks. The first 3 weeks, everything seemed normal. Dad called at 7:03. He told me about his physical therapist. Young guy, firm hands, very patient. He said the food was fine, I guess. He asked about my patients. He told me to wear a coat. But I noticed things, small things. His voice was thinner. He paused in odd places. One morning he said, "I'm just tired today," and hung up after 3 minutes. My father has never voluntarily ended a phone call in under 12 minutes. The man once kept a wrong number caller on the line for 20 because he sounded lonely. I asked if he was okay. He said yes. Mark sent me another photo. Dad in the same courtyard, same angle, same flannel. I stared at it. The shadows were identical. Same fountain spray pattern. Same crack in the sidewalk near his left shoe. Same leaf. It was the same photograph. He'd sent it twice. I texted, "Is that from today?" He replied an hour later, "Yeah, just took it." I didn't say anything, but I filed it away in the part of my brain that tracks things that don't add up. Week 4, Monday. Dad called at 7:03. The call lasted 90 seconds. I heard something in the background, a beeping, rhythmic, like an alarm no one was answering. He said, "I have to go." He sounded winded. Tuesday, 7:03 came. 7:30, 8:00. I called his room, no answer. I called the front desk. They put me on hold for 9 minutes. Then the line went dead. I called back. A different voice answered. I asked for my father, Harold, room 204. He's resting right now. It was 10:00 in the morning. My father hasn't rested at 10:00 a.m. since he retired. I can take a message. I called at noon, different person. He's in therapy. I called at 3:00. He's eating. I called at 5:00. He's resting again. I called Mark. She's probably just tired, he said. The therapy wears him out. Mark, he hasn't called in 2 days. He calls every single morning. Maybe he forgot. Can you drive over and check on him? Just look through the window. I'll swing by this weekend. Today, Mark, not this weekend, today. He sighed. That specific sigh he's been doing since we were teenagers, the one that means he thinks I'm being dramatic. Sarah, you're 3 hours away. You don't see the full picture. He's fine. I'll go when I can. He didn't go. Wednesday, day 3. I called the facility again and asked for the nurse assigned to Dad's hall. Transferred. Voicemail. I left a detailed message. My name, my credentials, my father's name and room number, my concerns, my callback number. I asked for a return call within 2 hours. No one called. Here, what I noticed, and maybe you've noticed it too if you've ever dealt with a place like this. Every time I called, a different person answered. Not one of them said Dad's name before I did. Not one said, "Oh yes, Mr. Harris, let me check." They didn't know who he was. They were reading a name off a board if they were reading anything at all. When a facility can't tell you which nurse is assigned to your father, that's not a scheduling problem. That's a system flying without instruments. I sat in the ambulance bay on Wednesday evening, still in my uniform, staring at my phone. No missed calls. Nothing from Dad. Nothing from Harbor View. Nothing from Mark. I'm a paramedic. I've worked emergency medicine for 13 years. I've seen what happens when elderly patients get neglected in long-term facilities. I've picked them up off bathroom floors. I've intubated them in parking lots. I've written the reports. Dehydration, malnutrition, pressure ulcers, sepsis. I know what neglect looks like when it arrives at an ambulance door. I know how it smells. I know how fast a stage 1 pressure injury becomes a stage 4, 72 hours in a bedbound patient who isn't being turned. And now, I'm imagining my own father in one of those beds. Every clinical alarm in my head is screaming. If I wait, I lose time. If Dad is dehydrated, every hour without fluids pushes him closer to kidney failure. If he's not being turned, the skin over his tailbone is already breaking down. If his blood pressure meds are being skipped, he could stroke out or fall. I called Mark one last time. Mark, I need you to go check on Dad today, not this weekend, today. You're overreacting. He's fine. Have you talked to him? Pause. I've been busy. Mark, have you talked to Dad since he moved in? Longer pause. I'll call the facility tomorrow. That was the last time I asked Mark for anything. Thursday, 4:30 a.m. My shift doesn't start until 8, but I'm already dressed. I call my supervisor, Dave. He picks up on the first ring. Paramedic supervisors never sleep right. Dave, I need today off. It's my father. Dave knows me. I haven't called out in 4 years. Go, he says. I'll cover your truck, go. I'm on the highway by 5:00. The sun isn't up. I drive east through suburbs, then farmland, past tractor dealerships and barbecue shacks and churches with faded signs. Eastern North Carolina gets quiet out here. The towns get smaller. The cell signal gets weaker. Around mile 180, I pass a billboard. Blue background, white text, stock photo of a smiling elderly couple. It reads, Harbor View Senior Living, Compassionate Care, Dignity Always. There's a phone number underneath with a local area code. I've called that number 11 times in the past 3 days. Nobody there knows my father's name. I pull into the Harbor View parking lot at 8:47 a.m., 3 hours and 47 minutes from my apartment. The lot is almost empty, 2 cars, a pickup truck, and a wheelchair van with a flat tire. The building is single-story, tan brick, built maybe 25 years ago. The courtyard from Mark's photo is there, the bench, the fountain, but the fountain is dry and the flower beds are nothing but mulch and cigarette butts. I walk to the front entrance. The doors are locked. There's an intercom. I press it. I wait. I press it again. 5 minutes pass before someone opens the door. A woman in scrubs holding a donut. She doesn't ask who I am. She doesn't ask for ID. She points toward a clipboard. Sign in. The lobby is clean enough. Silk flowers in a plastic vase. A whiteboard with today's activities written in purple marker, but the listed date is 12 days ago. A television plays a game show with the sound off. I sign the visitor log. The last entry is 6 days old. Someone named Carol visited room 112 before that. 10 days between visitors. I scan the entire page. No entry for Mark. None. I flip back 2 pages, not there either. I walk past the front desk. The hallway is bright. Fluorescent lights, tile floor, handrails. Rooms 201 through 215. Doors open or cracked. I can hear televisions, a radio, someone coughing. Then I turn the corner toward the west wing. The lights are dimmer here. 3 overhead fixtures are burned out. The floor is the same tile, but it hasn't been mopped recently. I can see scuff marks and a dried spill near the baseboard. The air changes. Heavier. There's a smell I recognize from work. The sour, sharp edge of urine that hasn't been cleaned up properly. Room 204 is the last door on the left. The hallway dead ends 3 feet past it at a fire exit. No window on this end. No natural light. I knock, no answer. I knock again, nothing. I push the door open. The room is dark. Blackout curtains drawn. Overhead light off. It takes my eyes a moment to adjust, and then I see him. Dad is lying in bed, eyes open, staring at the ceiling. He doesn't turn his head when the door opens. The sheets beneath him are grayish-yellow. On the nightstand, a plastic cup empty with a dried ring at the bottom where water used to be. I reach for the call button clipped to his bed rail and press it. Nothing happens. I press it again. No sound from the nurse's station. I follow the cord with my hand. It ends 2 inches from the wall jack, unplugged, hanging loose behind the bed. Dad. He turns his head slowly. His eyes find me. Something shifts, like a light coming on behind dirty glass. Sarah. I'm here, Dad. I pull a chair to the bedside and take his hand. His skin is dry, paper dry, the kind of dehydration you feel before you see it. I check his pulse, fast, thready. His lips are cracked. The corners of his mouth are white. I go into clinical mode because that's the only thing keeping me upright. I check his mucous membranes, dry. I press the skin on the back of his hand. It tense, holds for 3 seconds before flattening. Moderate to severe dehydration. I look at his eyes, sunken slightly dull. When did you last drink water? He doesn't remember. When did someone last help you to the bathroom? He shakes his head. I ask him to roll toward me. He winces. I lift the hem of his gown and look at the skin over his tailbone. There it is, a 4-inch area of red, non-blanching skin. Stage 1 pressure injury. Not broken yet, but if no one repositions him in the next 48 hours, it will break. And then it will get infected. And in a 76-year-old man who's already dehydrated, an infected wound can turn septic in days. Neglect doesn't announce itself. It arrives in silence. I pick up the medication log from the bedside table. Columns for date, time, medication, staff initials. I scan the last 7 days. 4 of the entries have identical handwriting and identical initials. JW. But the times listed don't match the medications prescribed. His evening blood pressure meds are logged as given at 10:00 p.m. for 5 straight nights, but the pill organizer on the table still has 5 evening doses sitting untouched. They've been signing the log, without giving him the medication. Dad squeezes my hand. They don't come when I call Sarah. I look at the nightstand. The framed photo of our family, Mom, Dad, Mark, me, taken at Thanksgiving 8 years ago, is gone. Dad, where's the photo? The night nurse took it, said it was clutter. I walk to the nurse's station at the end of the West Wing. There is no nurse there. There's an aide, early 20s, sitting in a rolling chair, scrolling through her phone. A half-eaten bag of chips sits open on the counter next to a clipboard. "Excuse me, I'm Sarah Harris. My father is in room 204. I need to speak with the charge nurse." The aide doesn't look up immediately. When she does, she blinks like I've woken her up. "She's on break." "When will she be back?" "I don't know, maybe an hour." "Who's responsible for the West Wing right now?" "I am." "Are you a nurse?" "I'm a CNA." "How many rooms are you covering?" She shrugs. 22, give or take. My father's call button is disconnected. His water cup is empty. His medication log doesn't match his pill organizer, and he has a pressure injury forming on his tailbone. The aide stares at me, then she shrugs again. "We're short-staffed, I can't be everywhere." "I need to speak with the administrator, Daniel Cross." "He's not in today." "It's Thursday at 9 in the morning." "He doesn't come in every day." "I need to speak with the director of nursing." "She's not here either." I stand at that counter and feel every word land on the linoleum and die there. Nobody in charge. Nobody accountable. Nobody who can tell me why my father is lying in a dark room at the end of a dead-end hallway with dry lips and no way to call for help. I walk back to room 204. I close the door. I sit down next to my father and take his hand again. I'm not leaving. Not yet. Not until I know exactly what happens in this room when no one is watching. North Carolina is a one-party consent state. If one person in the conversation agrees to be recorded, it's legal. My father is that person. He's 76 years old, sharp as a tack, and he has every right to know what happens in his own room. I sit on the edge of his bed and explain what I want to do. He listens without interrupting. 39 years of teaching chemistry taught him how to listen. "I want to see it too," he says. "I want you to see what they do at night." That's consent. Clear, voluntary, competent. I drive 15 minutes to the nearest Walmart. I buy a small voice-activated recorder disguised as a USB charger. $29.99. I buy new sheets, 2 bottles of water, barrier cream, and a pack of washcloths. I drive back. I place the recorder on his nightstand, angled to cover the bed and the doorway. I test it. Audio picks up normal conversation from across the room. Then I do what the staff should have been doing. I help Dad drink 2 full glasses of water. I change his sheets. I clean and apply barrier cream to the red area on his tailbone. I reposition his pillows. I reconnect the call button and test it. It buzzes at the nurse's station. Before I leave, I type an email on my phone to the facility's general address. This email serves as formal notification that audio monitoring equipment has been installed in room 204 with the written consent of the resident, Harold Harris, in accordance with North Carolina state law. I hit send. I screenshot the sent confirmation. On the drive home, I call Mark. "I went to see Dad today. He's dehydrated. He has a pressure injury starting. His call button was unplugged." Silence. "You're exaggerating," he says. "You always do this. You show up once and think you know everything." "When was the last time you were there, Mark?" "I've been managing this for months, Sarah." "That's not what I asked." He hangs up. I drive 3 hours back to Charlotte with the recorder's audio feed streaming to my phone, propped against the dashboard. Dad is sleeping. The room is dark. No one enters. I'm sitting in my car in a Walmart parking lot in rural North Carolina, holding a recorder the size of a pack of gum. And I'm thinking, how many of you have that feeling right now? That knot in your stomach because someone you love is in a place you can't watch over every day. Have you ever shown up unannounced to check on a parent? Drop a comment and tell me. I want to hear your story. Now let me tell you what that recorder captured. I go back the next day, Friday, another 3-hour drive. I bring supplies, fresh sheets, water bottles, snacks, a new blanket because the quilt my mother made is gone and I don't know where they put it. I bring his favorite lotion and a new framed photo for the nightstand. When I walk into the West Wing, there's a woman standing outside room 208. She's my father's age, maybe early 70s, holding a tote bag and staring at the floor like it owes her money. She looks up when she hears my footsteps. "You're Harold's daughter." "I am. I'm Diane Morrison. My husband is in 208. We step outside into the parking lot, where the walls can't hear us. "Your dad told my husband about you," Diane says. "He said you were a paramedic. He said you'd come eventually. He was waiting." Diane's husband has been at Harbor View for 6 months. He's lost 12 pounds. Diane filed a formal complaint with the administrator twice. Both times she got the same response: "We'll look into it." Both times nothing changed. "They smile at you and then close the door," Diane says. "And behind that door nothing happens. No one comes. No one checks. My husband called me crying last week. He said he rang the bell for an hour before someone brought him to the bathroom." I don't tell Diane about the recorder. Not yet, but I take her phone number. "If you need someone to back you up," she says, "call me. I've been trying to do this alone for 6 months. It doesn't work alone." I put her number in my phone under Diane Harbor View. I don't know it yet, but this woman is going to stand next to me on the worst and best day of this entire ordeal. Friday night, I'm home in Charlotte. Dad is asleep on the audio feed. I open my laptop and log into his bank account. He gave me the credentials years ago, back when Mom was sick and someone needed to pay bills while he was at the hospital every day. I pull up the transaction history for the last 8 months. Dad's long-term care insurance pays out $5,800 per month. That's what the policy covers, a good policy, the kind my mother insisted on buying 25 years ago, even when they couldn't really afford it. "One of us will need it someday," she said. She was right. Harbor View charges $3,600 per month for a semi-private room. Dad is in a private room, but the rate is the same because they had availability. So the insurance pays $5,800. The facility takes $3,600. The remaining $2,200 should be sitting in Dad's account. It's not. Every month on the 10th, there's an automatic transfer of $2,200 from Dad's account to an entity I've never seen before. Harris Property Management, LLC. I search the name. It's registered in North Carolina. Sole member, Mark Allen Harris. Registered agent, Mark Allen Harris. The LLC was filed 11 months ago, 3 months before Dad's stroke, 5 months before he moved into Harbor View. He set this up before Dad even needed care. 5 months of transfers, $2,200 per month. That's $11,000 of my father's money rooted into my brother's shell company. The same company he told the family he'd dissolved after his last business deal collapsed. I screenshot every transaction, every transfer date, every confirmation number. I save them in a folder on my desktop labeled Harbor View Evidence. I don't call Mark. There's nothing he can say that will change what these numbers show, and I'm not done collecting evidence. Friday night, 11:30 p.m. I'm lying in bed with my phone on the pillow next to me, listening to the audio feed from room 204. The room is dark. Dad is asleep on his back, which worries me, because he should be repositioned onto his side to relieve pressure on his tailbone. Nobody has come in to turn him. 11:45. The call button light blinks on. Dad has pressed it. I can hear the faint buzz from the nurse's station through the audio. He presses it again. 11:52, 12:04, 12:17. Nobody comes. 12:31 a.m. The door opens. A woman walks in. Scrubs, ID badge, no gloves. She flips the overhead light on full. Dad flinches and raises a hand to shield his eyes. The woman, I'll learn her name later, Janet Walsh, the night shift charge nurse, walks to the bedside table. She picks up the medication log. She clicks a pen. She writes something. She initials the 10:00 p.m. medication entry. She does not open the pill organizer. She does not hand my father any medication. She does not offer water. She does not check the pressure injury. She does not ask how he's feeling. 14 seconds. That's how long she's in the room. I time it on my phone. On her way out, she flips the light off without a word. The door clicks shut. Dad lies in the dark. I hear his voice, thin, aimed at the closed door. "Excuse me, I need water, please." The hallway is silent. I sit in my kitchen in Charlotte, 3 hours away, listening to my father ask an empty room for a glass of water. My hands are shaking. I want to drive down there right now and pull him out. But one bad night is an excuse. 3 bad nights is a pattern, and a pattern is a case. Saturday. I listen to the overnight audio in real time while I sit at my kitchen table with a legal pad, taking clinical notes the way I document a patient assessment at work. Here, what the recorder captured between midnight and 8:00 a.m. Dad pressed the call button 7 times. Response time, 0. No one came, not once. At 2:47 a.m., he tried to stand up on his own to reach the water pitcher on the far side of the nightstand. He got his legs over the edge of the bed, gripped the bed rail, and swayed. His right foot slipped on the tile. He caught himself barely and sat back down. If he'd fallen, he would have hit the floor alone in a dark room with a disconnected call system and a charge nurse who was signing medication logs for drugs she never administered. I'm a paramedic. I know exactly what a ground-level fall does to a 76-year-old man 6 months out from a stroke. It's not a bruise. It's a fracture. It's surgery. It's weeks in a hospital. It's the beginning of a decline that most patients his age don't recover from. The morning shift brings a different aide. He walks in at 8:15 a.m. The medication log shows a signature at 8:00 a.m., 15 minutes before he arrives. He initials the column, glances at the pill organizer, and leaves. He does not give Dad his morning blood pressure medication. The pill is still in the organizer when I check the audio 30 minutes later. 2 consecutive missed doses of antihypertensive medication in a 76-year-old patient. That's not an oversight. In my world, that's a reportable event. If he strokes out because his blood pressure spikes, the people who sign that log are responsible. Every instinct tells me to drive down there and pull him out, but I need the pattern. 1 bad night is an excuse. 3 bad nights is a system. Saturday night, 1:20 a.m. on the audio feed. Dad presses the call button. This time it works. I reconnected the wire myself. I can hear the buzz at the nurse's station, faintly through the audio. 22 minutes later, the door opens. A young man in scrubs walks in. I'll learn his name. Tyler Simmons, 26, night aide. Dad asks to use the bathroom. Tyler says, "You just went." He didn't. The last time anyone entered the room was 4 hours ago, and that was Janet signing the medication log she never delivered. But Tyler either can't keep track of 22 rooms or doesn't care enough to try. "Please," Dad says, his voice is small. Tyler sighs, audible on the recording, and helps Dad to the edge of the bed. He grabs his arm above the elbow and pulls him upright too fast. Dad gasps. Tyler doesn't pause. He walks Dad to the bathroom with one hand on his back, pushing more than guiding, and parks him on the toilet. "Call when you're done," Tyler says, and walks out of the bathroom, leaving the door open. Dad sits there. The audio captures him breathing, shallow, quick. 4 minutes later, Tyler comes back. On his way out of the room, the door stays open. I hear his voice in the hallway, talking to someone. "Janet, 204 again." He hits that button every 20 minutes. Janet's reply is clear on the audio. "Just unplug it again." Again. That word sits in my chest like a stone. Again. Meaning this isn't the first time. Meaning they were unplugging my father's only connection to help before I ever installed a recorder. Meaning the broken call button I found on Thursday wasn't broken at all. It was deliberate. Sunday morning, 4:15 a.m. on the audio feed. Dad is asleep. Tyler enters the room without knocking. He doesn't turn on the light. He uses the flashlight on his phone, sweeping it quickly across the bed to check that Dad is still there. Then he opens the nightstand drawer. He pulls out the quilt. I recognize it immediately, blue and cream, hand-stitched, with a small stain on the corner that my mother always said added character. Mom made it for Dad the year they got married. It's the last thing she ever made with her own hands. Tyler folds it, tucks it under his arm, and walks out. He takes my father's quilt from his room while he sleeps. He doesn't look back. I rewind the audio 3 times to make sure I'm hearing it correctly. Each time the same thing. He opens the drawer. He takes the quilt. He leaves. That afternoon, Janet enters. She sees the clean sheets I put on the bed 2 days ago. She strips them off, bundles them into the laundry cart in the hallway, comes back with a facility sheet, thin, yellowed, pilled at the edges, and spreads it across the mattress. No fitted sheet underneath, just the flat sheet tucked loosely. Dad watches her, says nothing. Janet looks at him. Your daughter can't keep bringing things from home. This isn't a hotel. Dad lowers his eyes. He doesn't argue. He doesn't press the call button. He doesn't say a word. And I understand something, listening to this audio, that breaks me in a way the medical neglect didn't. They've trained him. 6 weeks in this place, and they've taught my father, a man who taught chemistry to 4,000 teenagers, who ran a robotics team, who rebuilt a car engine in his garage, to stop asking for help, to stop expecting it, to be small and silent and grateful for whatever scraps they give him. That is not neglect. That is erasure. They didn't just neglect him. They erased him. Sunday night. 72 hours of audio. I have everything organized on my laptop. Time-stamped clips, clinical notes, photographs from my first visit, the medication log discrepancies, the bank statements showing Mark's transfers, and the email notification I sent to the facility about the recorder, the email no one acknowledged. Monday morning, I make 2 phone calls. The first is to the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services, the state agency that oversees nursing facilities. I file a formal complaint. I describe the conditions I observed. I offer to provide audio. The intake coordinator asks me to submit everything through their secure portal. I do it during my lunch break at work, sitting in my ambulance in the hospital parking garage. The second call is to Michael Torres. He's an elder abuse attorney based in Raleigh. A colleague at the hospital gave me his name after I described what I'd found. Torres has handled 50-plus cases against long-term care facilities in North Carolina. I send him a summary and 3 audio clips. He calls me back within the hour. This isn't just neglect, he says. This is criminal. He walks me through the next steps. File with the state. File simultaneously with the county district attorney. The audio is admissible because Dad consented, and I notified the facility in writing. The bank records add a layer. If Mark was routing Dad's care funds while choosing the cheapest facility available, that's financial exploitation of an elderly adult under North Carolina law. We move on 2 tracks, Torres says. Civil and criminal, I handle civil. The DA handles criminal, they'll coordinate. I call Diane Morrison. Diane, I have everything on audio. Can you and your husband give a statement about your experience at Harbor View? She doesn't hesitate. I've been waiting for someone to ask. Monday evening, I call Mark. I don't plan a speech. I just say what needs to be said. I'm moving Dad out of Harbor View. I need you to sign the transfer paperwork. Excuse me. He's dehydrated. He has a pressure injury. His medications aren't being administered. I filed a complaint with the state. I need you to sign the transfer authorization as POA. You can't just do that. I have power of attorney. I make the decisions. Then make this one. Sign the transfer. Sarah, you visited one time and now you're trying to take over. When was the last time you visited Dad, Mark? Silence. Not called, not texted. Visited, walked through the front door, signed the visitor log, sat in his room. More silence, the kind that answers the question on its own. I've been busy. You don't understand the pressure I'm under. I understand $11,000, Mark. The line goes quiet. I can hear him breathing. I know about the LLC. I know about the transfers. $2,200 a month from Dad's account into Harris Property Management. The company you told us was shut down. That was for management fees, administrative costs. Management of what? You chose the cheapest facility in the county and pocketed the difference. You never visited him. You never checked on him. You told me you drove out there yourself. He hangs up. 10 minutes later, my phone rings. Mark's name on the screen. I pick up. His voice is different now. Lower. Controlled. The voice of a man who's just realized someone has seen the books. What do you know about the LLC? Everything. Sarah, listen to me. No, you listen. I have an attorney. The state has the audio. You should probably get your own lawyer, Mark. I hang up. My hands are steady. I'm about to tell you what happened when every piece of evidence I'd collected landed on the same table at the same time. But before I do, if this story is hitting close to home, share it with someone who needs to hear it. One share could be the reason someone checks on their parent tonight. And if you've been in my position, fighting for someone who couldn't fight for themselves, tell me in the comments. You are not alone. Let me finish this. Wednesday morning, 6 days after I first walked into room 204 and found my father in the dark. I'm in the Harbor View parking lot at 8:30 a.m. Michael Torres is in the car next to mine, reviewing his file. Diane Morrison pulls in 10 minutes later. At 9:00 sharp, a white state vehicle parks near the entrance. Two people step out, a woman in business attire carrying a clipboard, and a man in khakis with a lanyard and a digital camera. Patricia Simmons, lead health inspector, North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services. Her partner is a compliance officer. This is not a scheduled inspection. This is an emergency survey triggered by the audio and the formal complaint. No 48-hour notice, no warning call. They walk in the front door the same way I did, except when they press the buzzer, someone answers in under a minute. Funny how that works when the car in the lot has state plates. Torres and I follow the inspectors inside. Deanne is behind us. The front desk aide sees the lanyards and the clipboard and picks up the phone. Within 4 minutes, Daniel Cross appears. The administrator, I was told, doesn't come in every day, is here before the inspectors finish signing in. He's wearing a tie. His face is the color of skim milk. Patricia Simmons doesn't introduce herself with pleasantries. She holds up her credentials. Mr. Cross, we're conducting an emergency survey based on a formal complaint filed with our office. We'll need access to all patient rooms in the West Wing, staffing schedules for the past 90 days, medication administration records, maintenance logs for call bell systems, and your complaint response file. Daniel's mouth opens, closes, opens again. I'll need to call our corporate office. You can call whoever you'd like. We're starting now. The inspectors move through the West Wing like weather. Methodical, relentless, room by room. Room 202. Call button inoperable. The cord is intact, but the connection at the wall is corroded. Maintenance hasn't serviced it. Room 208. Diane's husband's room. The mattress has a visible stain. The medication log shows the same handwriting for 7 consecutive days. The patient's weight chart is blank for the last 3 weeks. Room 204, Dad's room. Patricia Simmons documents the replaced sheets, the barrier cream I applied, the reconnected call button. She notes it in her report. Evidence of family intervention to address deficiencies. In total, they inspect 8 rooms. 4 have non-functional call buttons. 3 have soiled or unchanged linens. 6 medication logs show irregularities. Then Patricia asks for the staffing records. Daniel produces a binder. The schedule shows 3 aides assigned to the night shift.